Okay, look around you for a second. Human vision feels pretty top tier, right? I mean, we can see millions of colors, we can judge complex distances, we can read tiny text on screens. But what if I told you that in the grand scheme of evolutionary engineering, our human eyes are just one very specific and actually kind of limited way to see the universe? Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to challenge your entire perception of sight. We are looking at some absolute vision champions, creatures equipped with the most bizarre, complex, and frankly, fascinating visual hardware nature has ever produced.
Okay, let's dive into this. To truly appreciate these 17 evolutionary marvels without getting overwhelmed, we've organized them into 5 distinct themes, based on how and why they see differently. Size and scale, thriving in extreme environments, splitting your perspective, compound and complex eyes, and finally, the ancient origins of sight.
So starting right off with Section 1, Size and Scale, Seeing Big.
Because sometimes surviving in the wild simply requires building a much bigger camera. Consider the tiny tarsier primate. Its eyes are absolutely massive relative to its body. In fact, the mind-bending takeaway here is that just one of its eyes is roughly the same volume as its entire brain. And then you have the colossal squid, the heavyweight champion of the ocean. They hold the record for the largest eyes of any living creature on Earth, measuring an astonishing 27 centimeters in diameter. That is literally the size of a football. They use these massive lenses to spot predators in the pitch-black depths. And for our land champion, we've got the ostrich. At 5 centimeters across, an ostrich's eye is, amazingly, larger than its own brain.
But sheer size isn't everything. Which brings us to Section 2, Thriving in Extreme Environments, Adapting to the Harsh. Extreme darkness, blinding snow, harsh deserts, they force eyes to adapt in shocking ways. And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when light is incredibly scarce. Take the nocturnal gecko. Their eyes are a staggering 350 times more sensitive to color at night than ours are. And because they don't have eyelids, they actually use their own tongues as windshield wipers to keep them clean. But then you have the Giganocyprus. This is a tiny deep-sea crustacean that never, ever sees sunlight. So instead of a traditional lens, it relies on actual concave mirrors built right into its eyes to capture and focus the incredibly faint bioluminescent light of its prey. It is literally hunting in the dark using mirrors.
Extreme environments aren't just about darkness, though. Sometimes the danger is purely physical. Just look at the perfectly engineered, 2-step protection system of the camel, designed specifically for a hot, dry, sandy desert. Step 1, they have 2 distinct eyelids equipped with extremely long lashes that act as a physical barricade against blowing sand. But what if a green actually gets through? Well, Step 2 kicks in. They have a 3rd, completely clear eyelid that sweeps horizontally across the eye. It acts exactly like a built-in squeegee, cleaning the surface without the camel ever having to close its eyes and lose sight of its surroundings.
And then there's the Arctic reindeer, which honestly completely blew my mind. They deal with some of the most extreme seasonal light shifts on the planet. Blinding, highly reflective summer sun, and then near pitch-black winter darkness. Their solution? They literally change their eye color. In the summer, their eyes are golden, which helps manage the bright, glaring reflections off the snow. But in the winter, the tissue behind their retina physically shifts to blue. This scatters light differently inside the eye, maximizing whatever dim light they can possibly capture. They are physically modifying their own hardware twice a year to survive.
But what if your environment requires you to constantly look in completely different directions, or even entirely different mediums, all at once? That brings us to Section 3, Splitting Your Perspective, Looking Everywhere at Once.
Meet the appropriately named four-eyed fish. This animal spends its time swimming right at the water's surface, which is a highly dangerous place to be, right? Predators can attack from the sky above or the water below, so nature literally split its eyes in half horizontally. Each half has its own pupil and its own retina. The top half is engineered for seeing through the air, and the bottom half is tuned for seeing through the water. They function completely separately, monitoring for birds above and fish below at the exact same time.
The ocean's twilight zone takes this to an even more sci-fi level with the cockeyed squid. This squid drifts through the water with an incredibly bizarre, asymmetrical silhouette. It has one large, bulging yellow eye pointing upwards, specifically to scan the lighter water above for the silhouettes of prey. Meanwhile, it has a totally different, small blue eye pointing downwards, expertly calibrated to search the murky, bioluminescent depths below. It's perfectly adapted to sit right on that boundary of light and dark.
Now, to really understand the chameleon, we need to quickly distinguish two things. Monocular vision is using your eyes entirely separately, while binocular vision is focusing them together on the same scene for depth perception. The chameleon is the master of both. It can move its strange turret-like eyes completely independently of one another, achieving nearly 360-degree monocular vision to scan for danger. But the second it spots a delicious insect, it seamlessly switches to binocular vision, snapping both eyes forward to focus on a single target with absolute pinpoint accuracy.
As amazing as all that is, it is time to level up. We are now entering Section 4, Compound and Complex Eyes, Engineering Marvels. We are talking about the absolute most mind-bending visual systems in nature here. So the crucial point is this massive number, 28,000. That is the number of individual lenses found in a single compound eye of some species of dragonfly. Their eyes are so enormous, they practically cover their entire head. Imagine seeing the world not through one single lens like we do, but through a mosaic of nearly 30,000 individual picture elements at once. It grants them almost total 360-degree vision and an unmatched ability to detect even the slightest movement in the air.
And these insect compound eyes can be surprisingly specialized too. Take the male striped horsefly. It has these massive eyeballs that physically join at the very top of its head. But look at how it allocates its resources. The photoreceptor units, which are called ommatidia, are actually different sizes. The top units are large and highly sensitive to UV light, which is perfect for spotting fast-flying females against the bright sky. The bottom units, however, are smaller and tightly packed, allowing the fly to hone in on fine details on the ground. That's two completely different visual tools packed into a single eye structure.
But what if you don't even have a defined eye at all? I absolutely love this quote from researchers studying the California purple sea urchin. They wrote, "The entire body has been described as a single functional eye." Think about that. This sea urchin has no face, but its entire surface is so densely packed with photoreceptor cells that it can detect light from literally every direction. Even crazier, researchers believe the urchin actually uses its own defensive, spiky spines to block out certain angles of light, effectively acting as crude, movable lenses to help it focus.
But if we absolutely must crown a champion of the animal kingdom, it is without a doubt the mantis shrimp. I mean, their stats put human vision to absolute shame. First off, their stalked compound eyes move entirely independently. Where humans have just 3 visual pigments to see colors, red, green, and blue, the mantis shrimp has between 12 and 16. They are also the only animal on Earth known to see circular polarized light. And they actually use this invisible to us spectrum of light to send secret coded messages to each other, flashing signals off their bodies that basically say things like, "Hey, back off, this burrow is occupied." It's unbelievable.